Kennedys, one of America's most iconic families, gathered on a somber Monday to say their final goodbyes to Ethel Kennedy, the formidable matriarch of the clan. Ethel, wife of the late Sr. Robert F. Kennedy and a woman who carried her family through tragedy and triumph, passed away at the age of 96, leaving behind a legacy that spanned not only decades but also the hearts of her vast and beloved family. The funeral took place at Our Lady of Victory Church in Centerville, Massachusetts, an intimate setting for a woman whose life was anything but small. Closed to the public, the gathering was held under a cool gray sky, as if nature itself mourned the loss of a figure so deeply tied to American history. Though simple, the service carried with it the weight of a lifetime spent in service to others, whether through her own family or her relentless dedication to social causes that mirrored her husband's passion for justice. Ethel Kennedy's death came following complications from a stroke earlier in the month, a quiet end to a life marked by immense challenges, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to her family's values. Her passing marked the end of an era, one that saw the Kennedy family rise to the highest peaks of American political life, only to be struck by unimaginable tragedy time and time again. Through it all, Ethel stood strong, a pillar of fortitude, raising her 11 children after Robert F. Kennedy's assassination and guiding them with the same moral compass that defined the Kennedy name. The family, in their official statement, captured the breadth of her legacy, saying, "Along with a lifetime's work in social justice and human rights, our mother leaves behind 9 children, 34 grandchildren, and 24 great-great-grandchildren, along with numerous nieces and nephews, all of whom love her dearly." Their words painted a picture not only of a woman who lived a full and impactful life, but also of a mother and grandmother who cherished her role as the anchor of one of America's most storied families. Among the tributes, President Joe Biden, who has often referenced the Kennedys as a source of inspiration throughout his political career, called Ethel an American icon, a matriarch of optimism and moral courage, an emblem of resilience and service. Biden's words echoed what many in America felt, that Ethel Kennedy, while perhaps never holding office herself, was a figure of quiet power and dignity, embodying the values her husband championed until the day he was tragically taken from her. Kennedys have always been more than just a political dynasty. They represent the complexities of American life, ambition, triumph, tragedy, and the ever-present question of what could have been. Ethel Kennedy lived through all of it. Born into privilege as the daughter of a millionaire, she married Robert F. Kennedy in 1950 and stepped into a world that would eventually ask more of her than most could bear. By the time she was 40, she had lost not only her husband but also her brother-in-law, President John F. Kennedy, who was assassinated in Dallas less than 5 years before Robert's own death. On that fateful night in June of 1968, Ethel was by Robert's side when he was shot in the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, just moments after celebrating his victory in the California Democratic presidential primary. It was a moment that shocked the nation, leaving Ethel to shoulder the impossible task of carrying on without him. Yet, in true Kennedy fashion, she did not falter. Instead, she focused on the future, raising her children and dedicating herself to the causes her husband cared so deeply about. She founded the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights in his memory, a testament to her belief that even in the face of personal tragedy, there was work to be done. Throughout her life, she advocated for gun control, human rights, and social justice, working tirelessly to ensure that her husband's legacy lived on through action, not just words. Though she rarely spoke publicly about Robert's assassination, her dedication to these causes spoke volumes. In many ways, Ethel Kennedy was the silent strength behind one of America's most influential families. While her children, including well-known figures like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., continued to navigate the world of politics and public life, she remained a steady presence, always there to offer support and guidance. Her influence stretched far beyond her own family, touching the lives of countless individuals who benefited from the work of the organizations she helped create. In her later years, Ethel Kennedy became something of a symbol of endurance. Having outlived many of her contemporaries, she remained one of the last links to the golden era of the Kennedy family, a time when they represented hope and possibility for a better future. Her longevity, both in life and in influence, was a testament to her strength and resilience, qualities that she passed on to her children and grandchildren. As the family gathered to honor her life, there was a sense that this was not just the end of Ethel Kennedy's story but also the closing of a chapter in American history. Kennedys have long been a family defined by both their achievements and their tragedies, and Ethel's death marked the passing of one of the last remaining members of the generation that first captured the nation's imagination. But even in death, Ethel Kennedy's legacy continues. Her work, particularly in the areas of human rights and social justice, remains as relevant today as it was when she first began. The Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights continues to advocate for change, carrying on the mission that both she and her husband believed in so passionately. The mourners who gathered under the gray skies of Centerville on that Monday were not just saying goodbye to a beloved family member, they were bidding farewell to a woman who had shaped their lives in ways both big and small. For her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, she was a mother and grandmother first, a guiding force who taught them the importance of family, service, and standing up for what is right. For the nation, she was a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the face of the worst kind of loss, there is always a way forward. Kennedys have often been described as America's royal family, a title that carries with it both admiration and scrutiny. Ethel Kennedy, however, was never one to seek the spotlight. Instead, she let her actions speak for her, quietly dedicating herself to the causes she believed in and the family she loved. In doing so, she became a role model for generations of Americans who saw in her a reflection of their own struggles and triumphs. As the world reflects on her life, it becomes clear that Ethel Kennedy was not just the wife of a senator or the sister-in-law of a president. She was a force in her own right, a woman whose life was defined by her commitment to others and her unwavering belief in the power of justice and compassion. In her final years, Ethel Kennedy continued to enjoy the company of her large family, many of whom had the chance to spend time with her in the weeks leading up to her death. These moments, filled with love and connection, were a fitting end for a woman who had dedicated her life to the people she cared about most. And while the world may remember her for her role in one of America's most famous families, those who knew her best will remember her simply as a mother, grandmother, and friend, someone who, in the words of her family, was loved dearly by all. Ethel Kennedy's life was a testament to the idea that strength does not always come in loud or visible forms. Sometimes it is found in the quiet determination to keep going, to keep fighting for what is right, even when the odds are stacked against you. That is the legacy she leaves behind, one that will continue to inspire those who come after her, just as it has inspired those who were lucky enough to know her.